Hey guys, Noelle here, and I'm back with another video. I wanted to try and switch up my intro, but that did not work because I say the same thing every single time. I wanted to come on and talk about a palette that I recently purchased. I recently got the Tarteist and MakeupShayla palette. It's a contour palette that's supposed to be geared towards us brown skins, which I love. The main reason why I really wanted to get this palette is because I always have trouble finding a contour shade that I really like on myself. I'm not gonna say that it's hard to find a contour shade for me because it's really not. I feel like a lot of brands these days are wising up to the fact that there's a lot of brown girls out there that need contour shades, okay? But sometimes I find that they can be a little bit too warm for my liking, or a little bit too cool and like gray toned and ashy, which I really don't like. I prefer a more neutral shade, and this palette definitely has that. So when I saw the shades in the video that MakeupShayla did introducing the palette, I was really intrigued. So I figured that I would get it and try it out for myself. Also in the video, she did use the palette on her eyes and her face, and I'm gonna go ahead and try that out myself. I'm really curious to see how it's gonna work out because I am a few shades darker than she is. So I kinda wanna see what the palette does for me and my face and my eyes. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's get a little closer. Let's get a little closer. That's a little too close. Too close, girl, too close. So I'm gonna start off this look, of course, by priming my eyes, and I'm gonna use my MAC 24-Hour Extend Eye Base. And to apply it, I'm using my Sigma P82 Precision Round Brush. I'm gonna go ahead and set that in place with my Makeup Forever HD Translucent Loose Powder. So let's get into the palette a bit. Here we have two contour shades. One is a little bit lighter, and then there's a darker contour shade. There is a blush, a highlight shade, and then here there's a more golden highlight shade. And this shade right here is supposed to be a corrector that you use it underneath your eyes after you apply your concealer and stuff. So we're also gonna see how this one works as well. To start off my eyes, I'm gonna go ahead and use this shade right here as my transition color. It's a little bit cooler than the colors that I would normally use on my eyes, but for the purpose of the video, I'm just gonna go ahead and work with what we got. So I'm using my MAC 224 brush, and I'm just gonna blend this in my transition area. Moving down to my crease, I'm going to be using this color right here in the outer V of my eye. I'm using a MAC 217 brush to blend this in, and I'm really feeling the pigmentation of these powders. I'm gonna go ahead and take this center highlight shade to put on my lid. So I wanted to see how the highlighter would act if I sprayed it. I used a little bit of my Makeup Forever Mist and Fix, sprayed the highlighter after I applied it to my brush, and packed that on top. So this eye has the layer of sprayed highlighter, and this is the highlighter before it was sprayed. So I just wanted you guys to see the difference. It has pretty good pigmentation with either, so you can either use it wet or dry, so that is definitely good. Now you don't have to wet it. The pigmentation is still good if you don't wet the shadow, but I like how it gives it a little bit more of a metallic feel after you spray, and that normally happens with any like shimmery eyeshadow, but it's nice that you can do that with this highlighter as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray my brush and then apply that over the first layer on this eye. I'm not really one for a shiny brow bone, but I just want to see how the highlighter would look on my brow bone. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of that directly under the arch of my brow. Yes. And I did not wet it. This is actually dry, and it's still bomb. I'm gonna go ahead and take the darker contour shade again. I'm going to run this on the outer third of my lower lash line. I'm gonna take the same shade that we use on our lid and place that on the inner portion of the lower lash line. So for an inner corner highlight, I'm gonna go ahead and use this highlight shade. I'm gonna go ahead and sweep this into the lid color a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some mascara, and I'm using the Tarte Light Camera Lashes mascara. What you can do instead of tight lining is just wiggle your mascara wand up against the base of your lashes, and that will cover that skin that peeks through the eyeshadow. When you do that, it makes it really dark and the skin doesn't peek through anymore. So you can do that instead of tight lining if you have an issue with tight lining like I do. My eyes water like crazy when I do that, but this method works better for me. The mirror is so big that it covers the ugly face you make when you put on your mascara. It's handy for that too. That's seriously what I look like. Like, what is that? Now for lashes, I'm going to be using my Flutter Lashes Shayla lashes, which is only right. These are definitely one of my favorite pairs of lashes. I absolutely love that the base of the lash is super thick, but then as it goes upwards, it kind of flares out and it gets a little thinner and wispier. So I really think that it's a pretty lash to use, especially when you're wearing a subtle makeup look like this one. I'm gonna place it on at the center, secure the end, and then secure the inner corner. And bam! Our lashes are on, so let's go ahead and move on to the face. Let's bring it out a little bit. So to contour my face, I'm gonna go ahead and use the darker contour shade in the palette. I'm using a MAC 168 blush brush. I want most of the powder to be concentrated right in this area, and then with less product on the brush, I'm gonna take the side and blend it a little bit upwards and over, kind of towards the mouth, but not too far in. Bringing it down to the jawline. And I'm actually just using the product that was left over on the brush. I didn't even dip it back into the palette. So a little bit goes a long way with these shades. I'm not gonna take that super dark color up on my forehead. I'm gonna take the lighter contour shade and I'm gonna kind of use it to blend this out, and then I'm gonna take that up onto my forehead and my temples. And that's not because I didn't like how this one looked, but there's a lighter contour shade and I wanted to see how that looks on my skin tone as well. I'm gonna also use a lighter shade to contour my nose because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm not really crazy when it comes to contour my nose, and I'm not too detailed with that. All I do is just take my brush, squeeze it, and do one of these numbers here. And I'm also gonna sweep that up into my brow a little bit. So I wanted to make sure to use every single color in the palette just to see how it works for me and my skin tone. I'm gonna go ahead and take the corrector shade, and I'm just sweeping this underneath my eyes. It looked like it was gonna be a little bit too light for me, but this actually works for my complexion. So that's definitely nice, knowing that I can use that shade as well. I'm gonna take that down the bridge of my nose, right in between where I contoured, just to brighten that up a little bit. And what's pretty about this is actually not matte. It's a little bit more of a satin finish, which I actually do like. So it's not gonna look too dry on the skin. I'm gonna also take this in the center of my forehead, above my lip. Heck, let's just do the chin too. We're going crazy with it. I'm gonna apply this also underneath where I applied my contour. Clean that up a bit. Yes. Let me find out. Every single shade works for me. Like, I am pleasantly surprised with that corrector shade. I thought that it would be a little bit too ashy for me, but it actually works. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the blush. I was a little bit skeptical about the blush because it is a tad cooler than the blushes I would normally go for. I tend to go for warmer tone blushes. I'm applying a generous amount here because I wanted to show on me. Dust off some of the excess. I went a little crazy. It's actually showing up on me, which I'm pleasantly surprised about yet again. I'm also going to take whatever's left over on my brush and just put that on the tip of the nose. To highlight, I'm just going to take the highlight shade in the center and I'm going to place that on the tops of my cheekbones. I'm also going to apply it to the tip of my nose, of course, the nose bridge. And a little bit on my forehead, or maybe a lot on my forehead. I just kind of like to take my powder brush and just go around the contour and the highlight to make sure everything blends into my skin. I'm gonna go ahead and do my lips and stuff off camera, and then I'll be back to let you guys know my final thoughts. When people tell you you use too much highlighter, right. I'll be glowing to the heavens while you're dry. There's no such thing as too much highlighter, okay? That's what you tell them. I almost forgot to spray. What are you thinking? Just drench yourself. Alright, so my final thoughts on this palette is it is definitely a must-have. If you are a brown skin girl and you have issues finding a contour shade that works for you, or a contour shade that you actually like on yourself, this is definitely a good palette to have. The beauty of having a palette that contains neutral shades is that it just works all across the board for everyone. Another thing that I really liked is that the powders blend really smoothly. It's not blotchy at all. It's not too warm. So 2 thumbs up to Tarte and Shayla. So if you guys like videos like this, definitely let me know down in the comment section and give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos from me, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Okay. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.